In front of me, you were looking at the new 2025 Ram 2500 pickup truck with the Cummins diesel engine. We're going to talk about this. We're going to see what's new about it, what's special about it, and if this is a truck that should be on your radar if you're looking for a 3/4 ton heavy-duty truck. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so we have this new diesel in front of us running. This is a 6.7 liter Cummins, the newest generation of the Cummins diesel engine for Ram trucks. Significantly quieter. It's actually a really quiet truck now, and it wasn't that loud in the past, so they've done a great job of making it even less loud, which is really nice, and I know a lot of people actually care about that. Even though some people will probably go out of their way to make this truck as loud as feasibly possible, I think for the most part, people kind of want a quiet vehicle, and they want something that's not going to be too overtly loud. And this truck is certainly quieter than it used to be. Now, before we start diving into technical specs, let's talk about what's going on with the front end up here. So right off the bat, when people saw kind of the newest generation of this truck in the concept pictures, and they saw that stacked front headlight look that you see in front of you now, I think people were kind of on the fence. They, kind of wondered, is this going to be too much? Is it too bold? After looking at it, after spending some time in it, I can tell you that it actually looks really nice. It's a lot of lights though. You have the lights up top, plus you have the projector style lights in that second row, the ones that look like they're flashing because it's being recorded and they're LED lights. And then you have the LED fog lights below. But overall, it's a very bold adaptation of Ram, and I think that it looks really good. It looks modern, and it looks like an evolutionary change in the right direction for this truck. It looks really good. Below the fog lights, you can see that there are front parking sensors, which are really nice to have. Plus, you have your tow hooks up front. Now, keep in mind, this is a Longhorn trim, which means it is loaded to the gills. And if you look at the center console, it actually says limited Longhorn, which means, again, you're talking about a truck that is absolutely stuffed with technology and features. When we talk about this new 2025 truck, there's going to be a lot of folks that want to see is it truly a better truck than 2024. And I think most people would objectively say that it is. So in 2024, you had two engine options. You had a 370 horsepower, 850 pound-feet of torque base Cummins engine that you could get. And then you also had the option for a high output Cummins engine, and that was 420 horsepower and 1,075 pound-feet of torque. Both were tied to a 6-speed automatic transmission, but you had the option for the Aisin 6-speed transmission in certain configurations of the truck with the high output engine. Now, why this was important is because the Aisin transmission was always viewed as this really commercial spec transmission, especially because it comes from Aisin, which is known for making commercial transmissions. And you could get a tremendous amount of power, tremendous amount of torque out of it. But the folks over at Ram opted to do things different for 2025. So now the base engine, which is also the only engine option, produces 430 horsepower and the same 1,075 pound-feet of torque, which matches the outgoing high output engine. It's the only engine you can get, so you don't have to, or the only diesel engine that you can get. You can still opt for a few gas options as well, but let's face it, most people are going to opt for the Cummins if they get this truck, even though the 6.2 liter gas V8 engine is still an option for those folks who are looking for it. And Ram is also outfitting these trucks with a new transmission. It's the all-new Torque Flight 8-speed automatic transmission. And they've made some changes to the gear ratio to give you, let's just say, better fuel economy, while at the same time a tremendous amount of towing capacity and capability. So with the new 8-speed automatic transmission, it has a first gear that's actually a 489 first gear, which is like this super low, granny low gear to really get the truck moving. But the final axle ratio is a 342, which is going to feel more like the 373 did before, thanks to how they're working the transmission. Basically what this means is that you have stronger launches, smoother acceleration, and better hill control, and better fuel economy. That was kind of the goal. It was to mix the technologies and the gear ratios to give you the best possible shifting, the best possible gearing for the different types of scenarios you might want to use this truck for. So let's talk about real-world towing. So let's say you're towing a 16,000 pound fifth wheel. In the 2024 2500, the engine had to work harder at launch, and you probably had to use tow haul mode just to keep the transmission from hunting gears. In this 2025 model, the steep first gear plus smoother transitions through the 8 speeds keeps your RPMs lower. power delivery is more stable, and your engine actually is less strange. So there's a lot of reasons why the technology that they've implemented in the powertrain of this truck is superior to the outgoing model. And the reason why I'm focusing so much on this is because this has probably been the #1 area of criticism when people think about this new truck. So the updates for 2025 are actually a really big deal. The combination of that steep first gear, that 489-to-1 in the 8-speed automatic transmission, as well as a taller axle ratio, the 342-to-1 for cruising, and 1,075 pound-feet of torque really make this truck pull harder at low speeds, cruise more efficiently at higher speeds, and drive smoother in every gear. It's a smarter setup overall. And the continued use of these new towing mirrors absolutely stands out. I love the fact that they switched to a more traditional, conventional towing mirror that actually extends out versus flips up and down. It gives you more visibility, and it gives you a tremendous amount of side view access without having to skew it every time you flip the mirror and flip it back down. So really glad they kept this design for 2025. The wheel choice is also really bold. I love the fact that they have this contrasting tone wheel, has the Firestone Transforce AT2 tires on. They've been using this style tire for quite some time, and you can see it as a multi-link rear suspension versus the traditional leaf sprung suspension that you see on a lot of trucks. This truck is also equipped with air suspension. So you can see under there, you have your nice airbags, which allows you to raise and lower the truck as needed for different applications, including hitching up. At the back of the truck, we do have a power release slow opening tailgate, which is really nice. This is not a power lift tailgate, so it's not going to lift back up. Spray and bed liner, and this one is prepped for the fifth wheel gooseneck package. And the spacing that Ram uses is massive compared to what Ford and General Motors uses, and I'm not exactly sure why. It probably has something to do with where the frame rails are placed on this truck versus what Ford does. But you do have a spot for your goose ball in the middle, and hopefully we'll be able to tow with this truck. We have all of our connections on the side, including a crazy powerful 2.4 kilowatt power source here on the side as well. I love the fact that these manufacturers have been adding so much power to the back if you need to power things like tools, batteries, charge things up, or even power an RV. Plus you have some LED lighting back here as well. On the back here, you do have a spot for your trailer camera, as well as your 7-way, and another power source right here, as well as a 2.5-inch receiver on the back of this truck, and parking sensors around it as well. The back seat's going to look really familiar because most of this is largely unchanged. You still have your cup holders on the floor. They still have the transmission hump here in the center. USB, USB-C, 400 watts worth of power here. And I imagine we still have storage underneath the mats, which we do. And that is really, really cool. Plus, of course, you have these really nice buckles here behind the seats. This is something the folks over at Ram have been doing a long time with the Longhorn Edition. Beautiful interior though. Great placement for the air conditioning vents also. We have our power deploying running boards also, have our beautiful, beautiful Longhorn trim all around here. Really cool kind of gold color to it as well. Just a really, really nice ranch theme to the interior. And then you have it mixed with all of this absolutely beautiful technology, leather trim, and a huge over 14-inch screen. Inside the truck, you are greeted with an absolutely gorgeous interior, plus an auxiliary screen off to the side right here as well. Huge, huge, huge nav screen right here. It extends from here all the way down into this space right here. So now some of these buttons that used to be physical buttons are actually soft buttons on the screen. But this is a gorgeous interior. Some of the features on the bottom here include all of your trailer information, trailer steering, tow haul mode, as well as turning your front parking sensors on and off, and adjusting the trailer height, which is pretty cool because you can actually use this to hitch up to a trailer. Okay, so now we're driving this truck. I gotta tell you, it shifts buttery smooth. That 8-speed transmission is absolutely fantastic, and it's the smoothest shifting Ram heavy-duty truck I've ever driven. And that's a lot to say because it's a big shift from the previous generations. Steering wheel's nice and comfortable. Still no power tilt or telescoping feature with the steering wheel, which is kind of interesting. You know, at some point you would kind of expect that they would add that. I think it's been asked enough. You can tilt the steering wheel manually, but you can't pull it out towards you. So your distance from it is pretty much the same unless you adjust your seat. I do like the fact that they give you climate control options from either the touch screen or from the physical buttons on the side of the screen. And that is really nice. I don't like it where all your AC controls have moved to the screens. It does have a camera rear view mirror, which I really like. I like that they're starting to include that on a lot more high-end vehicles, even though you can always replace your factory mirror with it. You have the whole driver convenience package with radar cruise control. These are features that have been available for a while, but noting that this truck does have it. It is also a four-wheel drive truck as well, so you have your four-wheel drive controls here, and I am using the wireless charging in the center console right here. Most of this in the center console area really hasn't changed much though. And again, I am really enjoying how smooth this truck shifts and accelerates. And I'm going to be honest with you, again, I've never driven a Ram that feels the way this truck feels, at least a Ram heavy-duty truck. It shifts so smooth, and the acceleration and the whole torque curve on this thing is wonderful. I mean, it just gets up and goes. It is a whole different experience from driving the 2024 and 2023 model. You do have heated and ventilated front seats, though it does not have massaging seats. Now, I don't know if there's some option of this truck with it, but I don't think there is. And not having that option definitely sets it a bit apart from trucks that do have that option from Ford and General Motors. On your screen here, it has a pretty cool feature called bed lowering mode that does give you the ability to lower the back of the truck down, which makes it easier to access. And that's all because this truck does have the air suspension package on it, which is really nice. And that could definitely come in handy for a lot of folks who typically struggle to access the bed of these taller heavy-duty trucks. Actually, almost any truck from a half-ton up, they're a lot taller than they used to be. So having convenience features like that could certainly come in handy. And as with a lot of newer vehicles with tons of cameras, you have tons of camera views. And these views give you all sorts of crazy angles. Plus, you can connect auxiliary cameras, up to 2 of them. You can connect a trailer camera, you have reverse guidance for it. But there are just a ton of different camera views that are available to see all sorts of different angles if you need to. And the cameras are super high resolution. This truck does come equipped with a sunroof. It is not a panoramic sunroof or a dual pane panoramic sunroof, but you know me, I'm not a big fan of sunroofs anyways. If I were to get a sunroof, I would probably just want this basic sunroof. But again, I'm just not a fan of sunroofs, so this really doesn't matter much to me, to be honest. Anyways, everyone, we will have this truck for another week, and I can't wait to do all sorts of crazy things with it to really see what I think about this new 2025 Ram. But at this point, I'm really liking it. I especially like the driving dynamics. That is super cool, and a lot of welcome changes that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.